Hello and welcome to the Magic and Total Warhammer 3 that are changes CA's doing. I want to go over it, and they released this yesterday, and I didn't notice until late yesterday, so I'm making a video about it now. I have watched Legend of Total War's video on it and him talking about it, which I feel like he overlooked a lot of stuff, even though he said he sat there and looked at this and read this and thought about it. It looked like he was looking at it for the first time. Just a critique, but doesn't matter too much. Because I had to sit there and wrap my brain around this and think about it and reread it and talk over with a friend about it. And we talked about it, and this is what we came to. So what the original Winds of Magic works is that you can hold a max of 30 at a time. Your reserves are different from that 30. You can actively, I should say, own only 30 at a time. You have reserves of unlimited, depending on how many knowledgeable lords you get, how many wizards you have in that army, giving you the benefit of the skill where it gives you like 15 plus 15 or 10 on Winds of Magic, which I believe is actually called Magic Reserve Skill. And so we are sitting here looking at this because it's vastly different. So, base off of this right off the bat is that early game, basically all starter armies start with 50 magics in their reserve. Straight up. You don't get any more or any less, you get 50. And if they're in a and now areas the Winds of Magic are, if it's blowing, it is 0. If it's calm Winds of Magic, you will get -10. And if you are in strong Winds of Magic, you get +5 per turn. If you end your turn there, you'll gain reserves of Winds of Magic. So basically, if you start in the strong Winds of Magic area, also they added a thing to Channeling Stance. Channeling Stance is +15 now to your Winds of Magic reserve. So if you have Channeling Stance and say are in Columns of Winds of Magic area, you will only get 5 Winds of Magic per turn, but you'll be offsetting that. And if you have the Magical Reserve skill, is now changed to giving you just a flat rate. Addition on top of is now only going to give you 20% addition gain of the reserves you're increasing. So if you are in Strong Winds of Magic, giving you +5, and you have the Challenge Stance, you have +15, that equals 20. It does not equal 22 plus that 20%, it's 24. So you will get 24 on top of whatever your reserves of magic are. And it will cap out at 100. Meaning your reserves of magic caps out at 100. So you already start with 50% of your total Winds of Magic. Here's the biggest gripe me and my friend have, and I think most of the community will have. You capping the magic at 100 is ridiculous. We have spells that cost unupgraded, actually, I should rephrase that. Skill upgraded, actually even skill upgraded, non-upgraded spell that is like the you click twice thing where it upgrades it twice to make it more powerful or whatever, and you use more Winds of Magic. We have a good amount of spells that cost 20 and above, between 20 and 30, Winds of Magic. So we only get 5 casts of those spells. I don't understand why they are doing this, because they can easily they can bump this number up to 200. I'd be happy with 200. I'll be happy with 300. I would be happy with a lot more. I find being at 100 is ridiculous, and it's only for PvP. Like, this only is for balancing for PvP. That's it. Does not make sense. Hopefully that's fairly clear. No, this isn't. You read this for the first time. I made it simplified. You read this for the first time, you sit there and scratch your head. You don't understand this. The thing is that I'm not happy with this, and I'm hoping I'm not the only one, because 100 is not enough. I'm asking for 100 more. That's it, CA. Just give us 100 more. Apparently there's numerous ways for us to increase it through dilemmas, research, skills, items, poor spell decisions, and so on. So you can increase your or decrease your enemies' reserve pools with these. And honestly, I'm seeing these. This doesn't increase our maximum. This is increase our pool or decrease our pool. These are garbage things. Having research, oh, so we can summon a unit that'd be at full 100. Cool, don't care. Here is the thing, the reason why they're making it 100. Basically, I will say the main reason is that Daemon factions will have benefits and drawbacks depending on your Winds of Magic reserve, which is thematically makes sense, but gameplay wise, I have a problem with how many reserves we get capped out. Here makes sense because you don't want to make the scale too big so that you can see how this works. So, what happens if you're at low magic reserves? You receive a penalty to replenishment rate, leadership, and physical resistance. Meaning, this hurts most of all Horn. And I'll get into the problems I have with the buffs. Now, if you're at high, you get the buff of campaign movement range, which doesn't seem bad. But if you're Zinch, you get barrier recharge speed. So, from what I've seen and heard, it seems like Zinch's barrier is acting like, if you ever play StarCraft 2, a Protoss shield. Which means, hey, that's a full-on another health bar that regenerates forever. If we're equating it to a Protoss shield, then guess what? It recharges forever. Literally, Zinch is super strong. And if he increases the recharge speed, I have a problem with this. He doesn't need another carrot, guys. He already gets a carrot with how this Wisdom Magic is working. With that, he can manipulate it and makes it so that he's always has this buff and this barrier recharge speed. Now, let's move on. They're kicking this poor boy, like they just gave him a benefit, and that's Corn. So, they gave him spell resistance. He already gets sort of a good spell resistance, and he has no spellcaster, so this magic stuff doesn't affect him. But they kick him while that he's down. His buff doesn't mean shit. His buff is nonsense. And then they go over to Nurgle and gave him melee defense. What? Why isn't Corn getting melee defense? Why is he getting spell resistance? Why is Nurgle getting melee defense? Give at least Corn instead of spell resistance a melee attack. Gosh, this is like useless. Useless if the fucking magic reserves are at 100. Because you want to know what? AI already doesn't use spells well good enough. So why the frick are we getting spell resistance? And it doesn't even. This doesn't. Hurts the players because we're stuck at 100. We can't cast that many spells. So legitly, Corn is just gonna ignore most of our damage. Most likely, the AI would be stuck in this low magic reserves function. Honestly. All right. Moving on to Slanesh. Slanesh's speed. Okay. Cool. Don't know whether or not that's benefit or not. But I don't care for Nurdle or Slanesh too much right now because I don't know what they have. Speed could be good, really good for Slanesh. But you know who else will probably benefit more from speed? Zinch. You know what Zinch should have got instead of barrier or charge speed? Charge charge bonus. Because he's supposed to be the hit and run faction, right? That means he's supposed to have pretty fast units and go sneaky sneaky. So that speed or charge bonus should be on Zinch. Not increasing his barriers even more, making him super strong. So when in battle, basically battle doesn't matter. You get if you have 100 magic reserves, you can use it all in battle, and then literally after you're done, you will get that 100 right back, and you can go attack something else, and you will have 100 magic reserves. Not a problem there. One thing is to note is that at the start of the battle, where you're placing your units and all that, you will gamble for a percentage of your reserves. So, say you get a 20% on a roll, you get 20 wins of magic, and you have 100 in reserve. Well, actually, you will have 80 left in reserve. So, and then like go like ergo higher reserves more power no matter how bad your luck is. Sure, sure. 1% of 100 is 10%. 1% of 50 is 5. So yeah, be at 100 all the time. Now the question is how are we gonna balance that 100? Because Winds of Magic change whenever it feels like the entire donut could be covered with calm Winds of Magic, meaning hey, you have to slow down and place everyone into channeling stance to prevent them from getting reduction. Does a channeling stance require 50% of your movement to start off with and then 25% after? If so, that sucks. They need to change channeling stance even further. So, yeah, that's how Winds of Magic are working. And now we move into something that's interesting. I wouldn't mind is that in the Chaos realm, where Winds of Magic are unpredictable and powerful, constant rolling storm of devastation and regeneration, a storm magic, if you will. So the Legend mentioned this. I was thinking it was like the Winds of Magic where it's always changing. So in the demon planes there will be calm winds of magic, and then there will be this storm of magic. But it seems like it's more this will always be happening in the demon storms of magic. So straight off the bat, reserves are infinite in the storms of magic. Meaning all demons in the demon plane in the chaos realms are always having these buffs. Always having these buffs. Yeah, you say they start at 50. No, these guys are starting at max at 100. So, doesn't matter. So, basically, you will never run out of magic. But Storms of Magic gives benefits. And it randomly picks a lore, one of these lores. Lores Shadow, Metal, Light, Heavens, Fire, Death, Life, and Beasts. And they call them Ascendants. Ascendant lore. Now, it will randomly pick and change throughout the battle which lore is active. And each lore gets a special Cataclysm spell. These Cataclysm spells are charged by you casting spells. And anyone, absolutely anyone, can cast these Cataclysm spells as long as you have a caster. Note there's no requirement for using the lore on one of your spellcasters. You still get access to the passive buff and Cataclysm spell as long as you have any caster. Meaning, as long as you have a caster, you get to use the Cataclysm spell and you gain these buffs. Now, my question is, if you're Corn, do you still get these buffs? I don't know. Now reading that, it seems like you might not, because Corn doesn't have a caster, but he does get something special. But if you don't have any casters, dwarves, you're probably gonna be fucked. So let's go through each lore. Lore of Beasts. All units become immune to psychology and gain charge bonus. Doesn't really matter too much. And the Cataclysm spell. The strength of the wild is imbued on one of the units' damage, weapons damage, armor piercing, melee attack, and physical resistance. That sounds stupid. I wouldn't suggest using this. If you get the Cataclysm spell, do not use it when Beast is up, because it's gonna suck. Lore of Life. All units gain perfect vigor. That seems weird and at the same time amazing. But then again, both sides get the buff, so this literally doesn't matter. Cataclysm Spell, Storm of Renewal. A tree spouts from the ground as raw life energy flows across the battlefield, providing huge regeneration aura. Now, I have to say, this sounds like it is the very first spell, the Lore of Life, along with Earth Bloom, but I can't say that for sure. So we'll have to see. Lore of Death. All units gain armor piercing melee damage. Okay. Cataclysm Spell is a suffocating dust cloud chokes the light from enemies in a wide area for a short time. Short wind up. So it sounds like a wind spell with a wind up. So, okay. Or a vortex spell, I should say. It could be a wind spell. Lore of Fire. All units get bonus melee attack. Okay. A massive eruption protrudes from the ground, burning everything in the area with magical fire. Sounds pretty cool. Lore of Heavens. All missile units deal extra damage and extra armor piercing damage. Cataclysm Spell. Thunderbolt. Basically a bunch of thunderbolts. Great Storm develops on above the field, annihilating the area with lightning bolts. Sounds pretty cool. Lore of Light. All units gain magical attacks and immunity to psychology. Okay. Making it so that every unit is able to basically bypass all physical resistance and basically maybe just armor. Just hit armor and deal damage. Cool, I guess. Time a month. The flow of time is altered over a portion of the battlefield, improving allies' reload skill, speed, and melee attack. Alright, cool, I guess. I'm sorry, if it's... I'll get to the reason why I'm not big on this. Lore of Metal. All units receive bonus armor and missile resistance. Okay. Gehenna's Golden Globe. A molten sphere emerges from the earth and rolls across enemy forces. That seems like it'd look pretty cool. Lore of Shadows. All units get faster charge and movement speed. Dance of Despair. A hunting tune envelops enemies in the area, reducing their leadership, melee defense, and melee attack. Okay. Reason why I don't care is all these passives, like they said, as long as you have a caster. As long as you have a caster, Oh wait, no. You can use Cataclysm Spell if your army has a spellcaster, though the passive effects of an Ascendant lore will still apply without one. So Courtney still gets these. Everyone still gets these passive bonus. So, straight up, the reason why I don't care is it's not like, hey, I have a Lore of Life wizard. So that means Lore of Life. If I have a Lore of Life wizard, all units that have gain perfect vigor and their units don't. It's not like I choose a lore and I can, if that pops up, I get the bonus. No, it's everyone gets the passive bonus. And so it's like, okay, everyone gets the passive bonus. So literally, this changes nothing. And here's the kicker. Guess what? If you think Zinch couldn't get fatter enough with carrots, they have this very last paragraph. Zinch's mastery of magic means Zinch's army in the Storm of Magic battle gets to pick what first lore of ascendancy will be, making it possible to tailor their strategy. Him being ambush boy and him getting to pick first, they don't mention how long it takes to change the ascendancy. So if it's a minute, guess what he can do? Oh, I'm going to pick this and have all my ranged units attack. And they get the first hit. Sounds really fun, right, guys? Zinch just getting fatter and fatter and fatter. Really, Nurgle just has to leave the room because he's getting disgusted. He's getting disgusted with Zinch. And apparently I am too. Like, Zinch sounds like a fun faction, but this is kind of going overboard. I am sorry. This is going real overboard. Like, I'll breathe more after we're done here. Now, the Cataclysm Spell can be cast as long as you have a caster, spellcaster. The thing is that you need to charge it by spellcasting, by casting spells. Once charged, the charge to the next random spell lore begins to count down. You lose access to the Cataclysm Spell if the lore changes before you cast it. Meaning, you have a time limit between this lore changes to cast that spell, and you have to cast it as soon as it pops up. Meaning, or else you lose it. So, depending on the timer, this will make a big difference because if it's a minute between each change, that's a big deal. If it's 10 minutes between each change, this doesn't matter too much. And the big thing about Cataclysm spells, guess what? You're not the only one who gets to cast them. Guess who also can cast this? Like, say you get Ash and Dust. That's a damage spell. Guess what? You get that, and your enemy gets that. You both get it. You both get access to Cataclysm spells, as long as you have a spellcaster. This only benefits people who are fighting against dwarves or Khorne. And honestly, anyone else. That's them fighting inside of the demon realms. So, legitly, this is a cool addition. Honestly, this is a cool addition. Trying to change up the gameplay. I like it. I like it. But this off the back of this makes this hit less hard. And then also Zinch's thing less hard. Okay, there's one more paragraph to go. And that's Khorne. He gets a further bonus to their natural spell resistance, which I find ridiculous and dumb. And since he doesn't get a mage, he can summon demons more easily, allowing for a surprise bloodthirster should you get too cocky. your opponent gets too cocky. This doesn't mean shit. Cool, I get to summon a single Bloodthirster. Awesome. Doesn't mean shit. Like, a single Bloodthirster isn't going to turn the battle. Early game, yes. But late game, no. It's not going to matter. Mid game, probably no. So, someone at CA, me and my friend agreed, there's someone in there that has a major hard on for Zinch. And the problem we both have is that Zinch is gaining so much benefits. And Legend mentioned this. CA always picks a certain race that they give so many benefits to. Like Skaven got all the DLC, Undead got all the DLC, majority of the DLC they were a part of in one. Skaven was a majority of the DLC in two. The thing is that Zinch is looking like that, but the problem isn't that I had no problem with Skaven or Undead getting as many DLCs as they do. I don't. And I wouldn't have a problem with Zinch getting as many benefits as he does, except for it looks like they're actually changing entire mechanics, like basic mechanics of the game to just make Zinch better. Like everything deals with barrier recharge, like increasing his barrier, making his barrier better. He can control the winds of magic, so literally this 100 doesn't matter. He he has the best casters in the game. He gets to choose which of these go first. He gets to choose everything. And honestly, his unit roster looks a little small, but it sounds really good. And apparently, there's a lot more units that are left. And honestly, I think they're just going to be. We're going to see a lot of Zinch DLC. And honestly, I think no, CA needs to take a step back, think about this, realize that they're going way too far with Zinch. They are honestly going. I am now putting my foot down and saying they're going way too far. Zinch is becoming the absolute god. And right now, we do not have the. I will say this: we do not have the numbers, and these should not be taken like as word of God, but also sort of as the word of God. The thing is that these are all the seeds. These are seeds. Seeds that can grow out of control and make Sage really too powerful. And then they're gonna nerf him to the fucking. They might have to nerf him to the fucking ground. Because compared to other races, he's able to control so much. And he's the one holding the stick. He's holding his own stick. There's nothing penalizing him from doing the shit he does. So yeah. Winds of Magic. Just a recap. Make the cap higher. Love what you're doing with the Winds of Magic, but make this cap higher. At least for other factions other than demons. Because demons, I understand, need a baseline, but do not make it 100. And everything else here, this storm sounds cool, but honestly, don't care. Corn's thing sounds a little cool. At least they're giving him a carrot there instead of giving him a stick at like every instance. But and another thing, Arcane Conduit, I don't know how this works in this system. I honestly don't know how this works. Arcane Conduit is probably gonna get gutted. and change. But we will have to see. Alright. This has been me, Kalsu, about the Winds of Magic in Total Warhammer 3. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.